You're tuning in because you want to get a handle on what's critical in tech right now, right? Without getting too bogged down.
Yeah, cut through the noise.
Exactly. Well, today we're really focusing on something that's hitting everyone. Data breaches. They just keep coming.
They really do. It feels relentless sometimes. We've seen some pretty significant ones just lately.
Yeah, and looking at what happened can maybe give us some clues about, protecting ourselves better.
Absolutely. Understanding the how and why is key.
And speaking of protection, this deep dive is sponsored by Stonefly. They're a one-stop provider of enterprise cluster servers, storage, hyperconverged or HCI backup, and disaster recovery systems, plus cloud for your IT needs.
Good timing, because robust infrastructure is exactly what you need against these kinds of threats.
Totally. As we talk through these incidents, you'll see why things like secure storage and solid recovery plans, the stuff Stonefly does, are just essential now.
Couldn't agree more. The breaches we're looking at really show the different angles attackers take. It's not just one thing.
Okay, so let's dive in. First one, Western Sydney University, about, 10,000 students affected?
Yeah, around that number, current and former students. And the really worrying part, sensitive data published on the dark web.
Oof, that's personal stuff out there. How did they get in?
Well, reports suggest it originated from the university's sign-on system.
The main login.
Pretty much. Think
Yeah.
of it like the front door. If that's compromised,
Yeah.
well, it opens up a lot. Really highlights the need for strong authentication monitoring right at that entry point.
Makes sense. Weak gate. Big problems inside. Then there was the Treasury OCC breach. Office of Controller of the Currency.
Right, that one involved over 150,000 emails, sensitive financial info. Very concerning.
What was the weak point there?
It seems attackers got in through a compromised email administrator account.
Oh, wow. So like the super user for the email system?
Exactly. Basically the master key. And what's really troubling is that this access apparently went undetected for several months.
Months. Yikes.
Yeah. It just underscores, you need not only secure accounts, but also really robust monitoring to spot weird activity fast. If they're lurking for months, the damage potential just skyrockets.
Absolutely. Time is definitely not on your side there.
Yeah.
Okay, switching gears a bit. The Mirai botnet. That's still around. Targeting DVRs this time.
Yeah, a new variant targeting TVT NVMS 9000 digital video recorders. It's kind of creepy, right? Your security camera helping launch an attack.
How does that even work?
Well, Mirai exploits known vulnerabilities. So flaws in the software of these internet-connected devices, like the DVRs. They find a way in, get admin access.
And then take control.
Exactly. They basically enlist these devices into a botnet, a huge network of compromised machines. And they use that network for things like distributed denial of service attacks.
DDoS overwhelming websites.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And they saw a peak recently, April 3rd, I think, over 2,500 unique IPs involved in attacks in this botnet. Shows how even seemingly harmless devices can be weaponized.
Yeah.
Your whole network security depends on every single connected thing.
Definitely makes you look sideways at your smart toaster. Okay, what about WK Kellogg Co? That was ransomware, wasn't it?
It was. Linked to the Klop ransomware gang. This one hit employee data names, social security numbers, that kind of thing.
So how did Klop get in there?
This is interesting. Reports say they exploited 2 zero-day vulnerabilities in some file transfer software Kellogg was using. Clio, I think it was.
0 day, meaning like brand new flaws, unknown.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Unknown to the vendor, so no patch available yet.
Mm-hmm.
That makes them incredibly dangerous because there's no immediate fix. It shows how sophisticated these groups are, finding and weaponizing flaws that nobody even knows exist yet.
Wow. So even if you're patching regularly, you can still get hit by something completely new. Kellogg offered identity monitoring, right?
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
Free monitoring for affected employees.
Oh.
Standard procedure now, but
Yeah.
still, the damage is done.
Yeah. And speaking of ransomware tactics, we also heard about Racedo ransomware. They use something called double extortion. Sounds nasty.
It really is. Racedo and others like them have upped the ante. First, they encrypt your files, lock up your systems, the usual ransomware playbook.
Right, pay us to get your stuff back.
But then they also steal sensitive data before encrypting. And they threaten to leak that stolen data publicly if you don't pay the ransom.
Oh, man. So it's not just about getting your systems working again.
Nope. Now you're also facing the disaster of having your confidential data, customer info, employee records, trade secrets dumped online. It puts huge pressure on victims.
That really does up the stakes. It feels like no one's safe. Even, like, the Texas State Bar got hit.
Yeah, over 100,000 licensed attorneys. Sensitive data compromised there, too. Social security numbers, financial info. The INC ransomware group claimed that one.
Attorneys handle super confidential stuff.
Exactly. It just proves the point. It doesn't matter what sector you're in or how sensitive the data you handle is, you are a target. These aren't isolated cases. It's a widespread threat. They also offered credit monitoring, by the way.
Seeing all these different attacks, different methods, different targets, it really hammers home the need for like a complete security plan.
Absolutely. Not just one solution, but layers.
Which brings us back to our sponsor, Stonefly. Because when you look at what they offer, it maps pretty closely to the problems we're seeing. Enterprise cluster servers for, reliable computing power.
Right. The foundation.
Various storage options because data needs differ. And that hyperconverged infrastructure, the HCI stuff. Can you explain that a bit?
Sure. HCI basically bundles computing, storage, and networking into a single integrated system. It simplifies management and often builds in things like redundancy and easier scaling. Stonefly offering that makes sense for building a resilient base.
Okay. And then the crucial parts, backup and disaster recovery systems. After hearing about Racedo, having a plan B seems non-negotiable.
Totally essential. And Stonefly does cloud solutions too, which adds flexibility for backups and recovery. But the key thing now is how you back up. Well, ransomware tries to encrypt everything, including backups if they can reach them. So you need backups that are immutable.
Immutable, meaning they can't be changed.
Exactly. Can't be altered or encrypted by attackers. Stonefly really focuses on this with their immutable and air-gapped scale-out NAS appliance.
Air-gapped, so physically disconnected.
Or logically isolated.
Yeah.
The point is creating a gap so the malware on your main network can't easily jump over and compromise the backups.
Yeah.
It's a huge security layer against ransomware.
Okay, so this specific Stonefly appliance, the 168 terabyte one, sounds pretty serious.
It is. Built for these threats. It's scalable too, up to 720 TB. It has that air-gapped multi-tech and the immutable storage built in. Direct response to ransomware.
And it uses snapshots for recovery.
Yeah, Delta-based snapshots.
Yeah.
Means you can recover quickly to a point before the attack hit without restoring absolutely everything from scratch. It supports lots of users, has advanced data services, pretty comprehensive.
Let's see, it's a rack mount unit, high-capacity drives, storage virtualization engine, good amount of memory, NVMe SSDs for speed.
Right, performance matters too.
Multiple network ports, redundant power supplies, critical, and a hardware RAID controller for internal data protection. Plus, support included.
And look at the built-in software features. Snapshots, tiering to manage storage costs, encryption, replication for DR, standard file sharing support like CIFS and NFS, cloud connectors for Azure or AWS.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just hardware, it's the whole package. Erasure coding, too, for data redundancy.
Yeah, it really does tick a lot of boxes for building that layered defense we were talking about.
It definitely sounds like the kind of thing organizations should be considering, especially after hearing about these breaches. If this is making anyone listening nervous, checking out Stonefly seems like a good step.
Understanding the threat is step one, yeah. But implementing the right tech, the right infrastructure, that's what actually protects you.
So wrapping this up, the main takeaway is pretty stark, isn't it? Data breaches aren't going away. They're evolving, hitting everyone.
Universities, government, businesses, professional groups, no one's immune. And the attackers are getting smarter, using 0 days, double extortion.
Which makes proactive, multi-layered security absolutely vital. Solutions like those from Stonefly focusing on that secure storage, those immutable air-gapped backups, and solid disaster recovery, they're not nice-to-haves anymore.
They're essentials. It's about building resilience. You try to prevent, sure, but you have to be able to recover fast when, not if, something gets through.
These incidents are definitely a wake-up call. So maybe the question for everyone listening is, what are your critical data assets or your organizations, and what steps can you realistically take now to shore up their security? Something to think about.
Definitely worth considering.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive today.